getting into things to let people kind of know more about you because I've always wondered things here and there about how you got started into YouTube, what drove you to do this and all that. When I first met you, it was Geeks Podcast. When I first met you, you know, that was the name of the channel. Yep. What was Geeks Podcast for? Because I know you don't really talk about it much on your channel anymore. Mm-hmm. But what was Geeks Podcast, and what made you want to make the move to do It's Your Player Too?
So really, what Geeks Podcast was originally, it was a name that I came up with in like 2009 or 10. And at the time, it was just like, I just thought it was a cool name, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I should get this name, and then I'll make content because I love geeky stuff, and that's still true today." But the problem was with Geeks Podcast, it never really got a lot of traction because, much like I have the attention span of a goldfish, right? Like I have to spend a lot of time to make sure I can stay focused on something.
Yeah,
it's something I understand. And for Geeks Podcast, it didn't help things. It actually hurt me, I think, as a creator. It was a fun little playground to kind of get used to making stuff. But the problem was, I would put out video game content maybe for 3 weeks straight, and then someone would be like, "Oh, okay, I like this," and they would subscribe. But then I might talk about comics for like 6 weeks. So it was a very, and it's weird because you could even make the argument that I'm kind of replicating that problem with Your Player Too, because I'm not purely a gaming channel. I'm not purely a YouTube help channel. I am kind of both. I'm hoping that I can sustain that. If not, there is a temptation to kind of split the channel off into two different channels. But I kind of don't want to do that just because I think authenticity is probably one of the most important things that a creator can have. And you've got that in spades. Like, that's one of my favorite things about you. Just to turn back on you for a second. Dude, like, you are one of the just chillest, most humble, kindest people I met on the platform. And I'm really glad that I got to meet you as early as I did, because that was really encouraging for me as a creator to meet somebody else who had similar ideals. But yeah, so Geeks Podcast was that, and at a certain point I realized this is not working, and I realized I really wanted to focus on something. And I knew that despite all the things that I love in my life from a pop culture sort of perspective, like like comics or the MCU, video games, movies, all that different stuff, I really, like, if you were like gun to my head, I could only pick one of them, it would be video games every time. It's just like this constant in my life where I started playing when I was about 4 or 5 years old, never really stopped. And at a certain point, I remember thinking, you're probably going to grow out of gaming at some point. Just sort of assuming that as time went on, I might be like, it's time to stop playing video games. But my dad just turned 60, and the dude is like 300 hours into Valhalla, and I realized my dad's in his 60s, there's no hope for me. Like, I'll be playing video games forever.
Wow.
Jacob, hello.